If you checked out my video from yesterday, you learned a little bit about why I decided to create the website yourpathtoweightloss.com. In today's video, I'd like to share a little bit with you about my story, give you a little bit of background so that you can learn a little bit more about me, where I come from, what led me to do this, and so on and so forth. In yesterday's video, I talked a little bit about my background, a little bit about my story, and I told you that I grew up a fairly skinny kid. But let me take you back a little bit further. I was actually born in the LDS hospital in Salt Lake City on November 12th, 1955. I don't remember that day, as a matter of fact, but I'm told that it was a snowy day and that I was born at about 6 p.m. I remember growing up with a pretty happy childhood. I had two loving parents. I was actually the oldest son, and my brother came along in June of 1959. But I had a pretty happy childhood, as I recall. I have some videos that a sister transferred to DVD for me a few years back, and I just remember seeing those videos, and it looked like I had a pretty happy childhood. I don't remember much of it, but I had two loving parents and a little brother that I loved to play with, and I had some pretty loving grandparents as well. And I just remember just having a pretty happy, pretty normal childhood. I grew up in the Salt Lake City area, and I just don't remember, other than that, too much about it. But I do remember, unfortunately, that my mom passed away in November of 1962. It was right before my 7th birthday, and I remember that she had gotten a Mickey Mouse watch for me, and I remember my dad putting that watch on me. So after a while, my dad met someone in the Salt Lake area. Actually, he went on a blind date. A friend of his assisted him with putting together the blind date. And so he met someone and went on a blind date with her. And it turned out that she was a dietitian. And after just a few months of dating, I guess probably 6 months or less, they actually got together and decided to get married. And so after they got married, I don't remember how long we lived in the Salt Lake area, but it couldn't have been too long, because shortly thereafter we moved to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. My dad had a job there. I don't remember the company, actually. My stepmom was from the Oshkosh area, and so that's where we lived for about a year. Her parents lived in that area as well, and so I spent about a year of my life in the Oshkosh area. I don't remember a whole lot about that time, but I do remember living there. I was still a pretty skinny kid, even at that time, and after living in the Oshkosh area for about a year, we left Oshkosh. My dad got a job with Sylvania. GTE, it wasn't GTE at the time, but it became GTE Sylvania. And so we moved to California, and we moved to the Santa Cruz area. And eventually my parents bought a house there, and I grew up in Santa Cruz, California. I lived there until actually high school. And then in my senior year, at the end of my senior year in 1974, I actually joined the Navy. I was still a pretty skinny kid. I was about 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighed about 180 pounds. And unfortunately, we're out of time for today's video, and I'd like to continue this tomorrow and give you a little bit more about my story.